Let's see. Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to our workshop. Just a few moments, I'll be sharing our slides. Let's see if I can make it to a shareable screen. Um, where's my presenter view? Not the public. All right. All right. What? Oh, you're sharing the wrong screen. Hold on one second. Escape. That was the schedule of the timing. I'm using a dual monitor, so I'm still learning how to share my other screen. There we
Oh,
go.
Thanks for
All
bear.
right, you guys see that now? All righty, so we'll get started. Let me see your beautiful faces, though. Everyone's all squished into a bar. I don't know how you do this, Mina. I'm still learning how to do this.
you're doing good.
All right, welcome everyone. My name is Amanda, and I have here my colleague Alice, and today we'll be talking about fostering STEM learning through play-based inquiry in early childhood education. So our goal for this morning is to talk about how we incorporate a lot of things we do at our school with play-based inquiry and how we incorporate at times project-based learning to help children understand STEM thinking in the classroom and make meaning around their peers, their teachers, and make meaning between classrooms and their home life. So we will share some experience of how hands-on we do in exploration on children's curiosity, which entails to deepen their understanding of the many things that we offer in our yard and also in the classroom. So I'll share a little bit about myself. I was in Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for my undergraduate degree. I was there for child development and also psychology. And I gained a deep appreciation for play-based learning there and now work in a play-based learning center in Stanford University with Alice. I also had recently graduated from the early childhood education um, program here in SF State just past fall of 2024. And we work with children ages 3, 4, and 5 year olds. And I really am excited to share about some of the things that I have done for my graduate study that encompasses what we are going to discuss this morning. Now I'll leave up the floor to Alice.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I'm Alice. I've been working in this field for 15 years now. I got my BA diploma back in Brazil, where I'm from, and I had a very um, teacher-led kind of education, like teacher education, pre-service education, which was a little different from what I heard about the importance of play and how that supports children development. And it wasn't until I went to New Zealand and worked in a Reggio Emilia Inspire program that I had opportunity to see what an actual play-based inquiry early childhood center works, that I fell in love with it, and I've been passionate about play-based learning since then. I worked with Amanda, we were together, and we also did our master programs together. So I also graduated in December, and I'm very excited to be here talking to you all today.
All right. Let's see. So I'm sure you guys know each other, but we don't know who you are. So I was wondering if we can just take every few minutes, we share some discussion. We have some 3 simple questions. We want to know, what grade level do you teach? What is your role in education? And what would you really like to know about STEM and play-based learning? If possible, we'll just have people just shout out first of all, your name and what grade level you teach, and the following questions we have on the slides. And so I see we have about 16 participants. So I was wondering we can get some people, not all, if you don't feel like sharing, but we can get a few of you guys to share what you guys do. That'll be great. You can just share through the audio from your end
You can put in the chat too. That's fine.
or in the chat.
I guess I'll go first.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Thomas. It's very nice to meet everyone. I'm going into like my first year teaching next year for a TK SLC special education classroom. My role in education is to support every child that comes across me in the best way I can. And I guess I would like to know just um I guess I'd like to know, like, I guess STEM can be a very tricky tricky subject to kind of transfer over so to play-based learning. So I guess just how it kind of intermingles and everything. And yeah.
Thank you. Sophia shared, she said she's a lead general education teacher in an inclusion preschool classroom with children ages 3 to 5. Thank you. And have others? Yes.
I can share with y'all. Or...
Mm.
Hi, I'm Misha. I am in the SPED program at SFSU in my second semester. I also work at a play-based, child-centered preschool at Stanford University. So I know Alice and Amanda, and I'm excited to see what you guys are presenting today. I've been a teacher for 9 years, and let's see. Oh, ages 3 to 5.
Thank you.
Hi. I can go. Oh, sorry. Okay. My name is Manuela. I've been working as a teacher assistant for almost 3 years, and this is my first year being a lead teacher. I work in preschool, ages 3 to 5. And also, as Thomas mentioned, I would like to know how to integrate STEM education into play-based education.
Hi,
Thank you.
my name is Stella, and I'm a lead teacher at a Head Start preschool, and the age is between 3 to 5 years old. And I would like to know more about STEMs. How can I include STEM in the curriculum, and which make kids learning through play or learning in a fun environment.
Hello everyone, my name is Donglin Fang. I'm a family childcare provider. I take care of the children aged like 2 to 3 years old. I'm a lead teacher in the classroom. I highly recommend if you want to learn more about the STEM class and play-based learning to take minor class like math and science, EET, A50, then you can learn more about it. Sorry about this, I'm sick today. So thank you everyone.
Thank you, Dongli.
It seems like most of you all are in the preschool age, which is also the age that we work, so it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anyone else wants to add anything before we move on.
Hello.
Go next.
Hi, my name is Ada. I am a teacher assistant in a TK classroom. And I would like to know how do I make STEM more fun when I'm supporting the teacher? And Alice, I'm also from Brazil, so I was super happy to see you. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you all for sharing little snippets of your life and what you guys do for in your work. So we'll move on to our next slide. All right, go Alice.
Thank you, Amanda.
Mhm.
So we want to start this presentation just by highlighting some of the guidelines for teaching math and science in the early years. I know most of you, probably all of you, are familiar with NACE, and also we have the California Preschool Learning Foundations, and then more specific to science, the National Science Teacher Association. So all those organizations have like documents or statements that describe it, not describe, but they with recommendations of how teachers can promote teaching the math and science in the early childhood classroom. And all of them, something that goes across all of them is that they all highlight how children naturally encounter opportunities to explore math and science in their daily experiences. And they also emphasize the importance of the environment and the materials that we give to the children, and how the teachers should build on to the children's experiences and try to connect math and science with their interests. So the learning that they're having is meaningful. Everything has meaning. If you can skip to the next one, Amanda, please, thank you. So a quote from the National Science Teacher Association that I think that kind of like summarizes everything, and it summarizes how we do STEM in a play-based environment. Is this that teachers should provide numerous opportunities every day for young children to engage in science inquiry and learning by intentionally designing a rich, positive, and safe environment for exploration and discovery. So based on that, I'm gonna share a little bit of our environment, our setting. Amanda, thank you. So, Amanda and I we work at a play-based environment where we're colleagues at a lab nursery school that attends children from 2 to 5-year-olds. We have a mixed age program. Our children come part-time and they're separate in mixed age classrooms. So 3 to 5, they always stay in one classroom, and then we have a separate classroom for the 2-year-olds. And our classrooms are large. We both need space. So you can see the part of our classroom yards. And we also a large number. We have 36 children enrolled in each classroom, and usually 6 to 7 teachers. And we work with the concept of indoor and outdoor program. So during their time in the classroom, children are free to move indoor or out, and they have 2 hours of play each day. And we refer to those as freedom of movement and also gift of time, because we believe that way children have enough opportunity to dive deep into their interests and go back to it as many times as they want to really get to explore and investigate with the materials.
Mhm.
So Sophia asked, what are the ratios in your classrooms? So we have, again, 36 children to 6 to 7 teachers.
It's about
One
teacher with about 6 children.
Yeah. And usually, because the classroom is so big, so usually the teachers stay positioned in one area and the children are free to move. So we ended up working with like smaller groups throughout the morning or afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And then Amanda.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I guess do one more.
Oh,
Oh,
hold on one moment.
there's some text missing in that slide.
Oh yeah. Maybe we will pull up maybe we can share the slides on your end. You can just say it
Yeah.
out there and they can look at the pictures. Is
Yeah.
that all right, Alice?
Yeah, I can. That's right. So the classroom environment is intentionally planned and organized to encourage hands-on experiences. We really value social interactions. We believe that learning happens through social interactions too. So we have a lot of opportunities. We prepare the classroom to give children opportunities to work in small groups. and also independently if they want to. So we have our basic materials. They're always available for children. Those are paint, water, sand, clay, and blocks. And as I say, they're always available, and they're all open-ended. So every time a child approach this material, they will have a different experience, and leading them to build mastery each time they use them, or also being able to explore new concepts. Think about like when we offer water, for example. 1 week we might be offering water as a to wash babies. That'll be one idea they will be exploring. And then in the next week, we'll be offering like water in this with funnels,
just going on.
bottles. Sorry, I don't know if someone had a question.
I see someone asks, repeat the materials that are always available. So I'm
Yeah.
going to put them in the chat, but also say it out loud. We have water, paint, clay, blocks, and sand.
Yeah. And then I was saying like this, the way that we present these materials to children change sometimes. And again, allows them to explore different properties or concepts related to that material. As I was saying, like water with washing babies versus water with funnels and bottles, or sand in a big sand area where they can dig and make rivers versus a small sand trays with, let's say, little trucks. So there is also the intentionality behind each material and how we were presenting them and what's our goal and how that supports children STEM in this situation, in the case of this presentation.
And we have here in the slides the emerging curriculum. So we offer these 5 basic materials as a medium for children to use to make meaning of what they are interested in. And we are very inspired by children's interest in wanting to further and elaborate their ideas. So offering these 5 basic materials that I also put in the chat for everyone to see helps children to make meaning. Sometimes saying things or looking at things may not be as meaningful for children, but incorporating other things, using their hands-on learning with the paint, clay, digging in the sand, or even building something with blocks helps them to work with their cognitive language and development, and also other aspects of their whole child development. So we'll go on to the next slide. Here we are.
So besides our basic materials, we also use an emergent curriculum approach, which is we observe how children play and observe how they interact with the materials that we set up for them. And then we based on those observations, we think, okay, what are the concepts that we're seeing here? What are the interests that we're seeing here? And how can we expand them? So here's one example in the picture about like springtime. You always talk about butterflies and the caterpillars. So this is one example of how you can set up the environment to I would say to instigate thought and learning, right?
And here what you see, oh, sorry, I was going to jump in really quickly. So the picture of the butterfly, every classroom has what we call a discovery table. So upon children coming into a classroom, that is the first thing they see, besides the teachers greeting them for the day. So when children come in, they'll see things propagated for them. Typically, we have things there changed seasonally. And so we go by the seasons and also what we see in the indoor and outdoor classroom. And where we work, there are actually a lot of butterflies that do come out in the springtime, and occasionally some caterpillars coming down from their little silk webbing from the trees. So a lot of children will ask about, what are those things dangling from the trees? Why are there butterflies? So many of them coming around. And that's when we use the children's questions and their observations to bring in more of an emergent curriculum to have children talk about it, to learn about perhaps the scientific concepts and cycles of the butterfly, but also use words that they can understand and be developmentally age appropriate. Go on, Alice.
Yeah, no, and I just want to point out, like, if you notice all the pictures, they all have some sort of STEM related concept behind. In this case, we have the blocks that I'm gonna talk a little bit more, and this in the smaller picture that's below the blocks, we have like ramps with gutters and balls. So then again, like it is playing, but then they are exploring physics. They're exploring engineering because they have to manipulate the blocks to create the ramps and the angle in math. Okay, because of the angles of the ramps, how fast, how slow the balls are going. So again, these are all ideas of how we present these materials to support children's exploration. So Amanda, yeah, okay. Okay.
Oh, a lot of our words got omitted, but here,
yeah, and here, can we maybe try to?
Maybe I'll do this. I'll minimize this. There we go. We'll see it from our end, our editing view here.
So I know we talked a little bit how, but I want to hear from you. How do you think that play in the environment now help children's acquisition of STEM-related concepts, or something that you do in your classroom to support that?
So you can put your answers in the chat, or you feel free to share them.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, do you see some similarities from what we've been talking so far? Yeah, I like that. Sophia said, children have to explore to create. Yes. If you don't let them explore, they're not able to develop those understandings and skills and concepts, right?
Hi, I would like to share that also. I like the idea of observing their interest, because sometimes we plan something, but they just focus on one thing. For example, this week we've been working about general bugs, but they just focus on beetles. And maybe we want to talk more about, I don't know, butterflies, but instead of, we can just focus on beetles and giving them more time to expand the idea instead of being more flexible with the curriculum. I think it's very nice too.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the most amazing things about understanding our position as a teacher, not as someone that imposes the learning, but like takes a step back and actually supports their learning and facilitates it. And then that way, whatever they are exploring and learning, it has meaning, right? And the knowledge will really stay with them.
Hi, my name is Hasnik, and I teach preschool, mild mod, and extensive need classroom. So, and I think that kinesthetic learning, when it's hands-on, place-based, and when you let them explore and try and fail or succeed, it's very important for them, and that's how they learn the best, other than just like show them the books or something on the screen. So because when they actually do that, they're getting excited, involved, and that's when the learning happens. And I observed that a lot. Also, it led them to challenge themselves, collaborate together, figure out, talk, discuss, ask for help. So it's, yeah, thank you for also organizing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hasmik. Yes, that is very important that we believe that children should be able to be hands-on and also learn different concepts through meaning with hands-on materials. And I see Julian had shared that, facilitate initiative and learning, and that's very important. If the teachers are excited to share or to provocate materials out for the children, then most likely the children will also feel excited and want to learn more and be curious about what is happening, how can we do this, and how can we explore more about what the things they're learning. Here we have we call these like Kodo ramps with balls, and the blocks that you see there, we call those Outlast blocks. We have them available in all types of all types of weather. So it could be wintertime, rainy, hot summers. They're called Outlast for a reason. They outlast supposedly through all the weathers, and we use it for different things. Apart from stacking them, building them, we also use it to, what Al said, to create different angles, slopes for the ramps, and children learn about if the balls can go up and down, and they make similarities with like Hot Wheels. Now, Hot Wheels are really nice. They provide those orange tracks, but here the children have to strategically think how many blocks they need to make a deep or steep enough slope for the ball to go down and come back up and go pass right through on the ramp without falling in between the steep slope in the blocks. And so a lot of the children, they do a lot of repetitiveness throughout the week. We offer these materials typically at least 1 week at a time, and let children explore what can they do to make the ball go through, or how fast the ball can go through the pathway on the ramps. And so oftentimes when children are very excited about it, we often let these materials be out for a little while. And again, with what Alice said, a lot of the teachers we have in our classroom are stationed in one area. We have inside teachers, outside teachers that are strategically placed in all areas of the classroom, inside and out. And depending on if children are very interested in activity, we'll continue the same one for the following week and explore and expand their ideas and we model language for them to talk about the scientific concepts, or even like in this case, like the physics, the momentum. When the ball is placed up in the very high stack of blocks and you roll it down, what happens? Let's see. And I see someone raise their hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
Leona, I was wondering if you could say more about the strategic placement of your teachers. Like, how do you decide and what do they do?
So we have a rotation. So we always have the same 6 teachers in the classroom, like a core team, and then usually 5 rotations with a floater. So it's based on the week. Like weekly, the teachers will rotate throughout all areas of the classroom. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So here, he'll give you a picture. Yeah. So we'll have about 2 teachers inside a classroom. That's 2. Then we'll have about 3 teachers outside. So outside could be in the sand pit area. Could one be in where you see in this picture, we have a bunch of trees and wood chips. We call that one specific area. We call it the grove. And then we have one teacher who's outside. We call it in the patio, which is adjacent to our indoor classroom. And so all these teachers are all placed in a strategic position in that area. And then the 6th teacher, we call it the greeter teacher. Depending on if there's a large group of children or an area that needs additional adult support, that greeter or that floater teacher will go there and float around each area to check on what's happening. And also these positions are not rigid. Sometimes we will switch around the next week. So if someone was in the inside, they'll head on outside. If someone's the outside teacher, they'll head back inside. That way, when children build relationships with the teachers, they don't often necessarily have to be, oh, Teacher Alice, I want to be with Teacher Alice, but she's always outside. I have to be outside. No, they'll be able to follow the teachers through inside and out, so they get exposure to play with materials inside and out with their supposed teacher that they want to be with. So that's a little gist of it. We could explain more about our placement and rotations at the end of the slide. For time's sake, we'll move on.
Yeah, we do have a Q&A. We will have a Q&A at the end of the presentation.
Yes.
Yeah, can ask more questions.
Oh, sorry, we're going
Other way.
backwards. There we go.
Yeah, I just want to give you some more specific examples of things that happen in the classroom. You might see happening in the classroom. Their play, but again, what is the learning that's happening behind it, right? So here I have the example of blocks. I think a lot of people, when they think about math in preschool, they think about blocks. And yes, there are many math concepts that children develop when they're using the blocks. They're the shapes, counting, one-to-one correspondence. But then there is also the side that we don't see as much. It's like the engineering concepts, right? And the balance, the stability, the design thinking, and how they're gonna execute it. Not to mention also cause and effect and problem solving. Okay, oh no, this tower is falling on the sand. How are we gonna fix that problem? How are we gonna support it? And then if you think about the social aspects of it, if they're working in a small group or with other children, like being able to collaborate or solve a conflict. Oh no, I had this idea, but I wanted this idea. Okay, how can we compromise? How can we find another solution? And one thing that's really important here and aligns with all the guidelines that I talked in the beginning is that children, they will not develop all this skill just by exploring blocks once. They need to have repeated opportunities to go back to these blocks and explore these concepts over and over again. Because again, if you look at the block buildings that we have in these pictures, they were not their first time. When the children that did those block buildings, it was not the first time that they were using the blocks. And also giving them time. It's so important. Like, I think each one of those buildings, it took them like an hour to build. So again, I think that can be related to any child at any age and any developmental stage, is just giving them the repeated opportunities to explore the materials, and then time over and over again to just explore and feel and notice the different possibilities that those materials give them. And I like to think, like, if the children, for example, only have 15, 20 minutes to explore the blocks, can you imagine how different these towers, these buildings would look like? It would be very different, right? So Amanda can skip to the next one. So also now I have two examples of play that happened in my classroom recently. And I wanted to hear from you, what are your takes? What do you think they are learning or exploring in these anecdotes here? So the first one is the bug hotel. So two children were playing by the mud kitchen, and they built a centipede hotel. And they used sticks, leaves, stem bark, wood, rocks. And then when it was ready, they're like, okay, we're gonna look for centipedes to move in. So they were lifting the pots in the garden and kind of digging. And I noticed that they were mistaking the worms by centipedes, and they would be like, no, don't touch them, they're poisonous, we can't touch them. And then another child that was nearby said, wait, no, those are not centipedes, those are worms. And then it had this huge discussion, like, okay, but they are centipedes. No, they are not, they are worms. And I was observing them. I was like, okay, let's hold on for a minute. I think we need to get some more clarification here. Let's go look for a book. So we went to the library, we got a book about insects, and then we found, and here you can see it, there's the three of us looking at the picture of insects, and it was great because the children could see the pictures and see the actual differences of a worm and a centipede. So we brought the book back to the garden, and then we kept looking for bugs. And then every time they will look and then they will find a new bug, they will go back to the book to refer and see what kind of bug was it. And then they ended up collecting not only worms and centipedes, but roly-polies, millipedes, slugs, and they would all bring back to their hotel. They made this very nice house for them. So I want to ask you, and I will share later my perspective, but I want to hear from you. What do you think, what kind of STEM concepts do you think they're exploring here in this moment? You can just put in the chat if you want.
Science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I don't know if you can see, but they're, I forgot to mention, they're using magnifying glasses too, to look at the bugs.
I think like it's huge problem solving practice.
Mhm.
Instead of just telling them, oh, this is not poisonous or this is a worm, right? Allowing them to search other materials in another area and then bring those materials out to connect those, and so that they have a better understanding of like, oh, this is what a worm looks like. Oh, centipedes aren't poisonous. We can touch them, right? And then gives them more, and it's a more realistic centipede hotel, which is so cute. And yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Great. Yeah.
I see some, yes, Misha, categorizing the insects is also math related, sorting, classification, and also examining different characteristics of the bugs. And I see Stella shared also, the observational skills from the children, prediction, comparison, classification. Yes, yes, yes. These are the concepts that we wanted the children to use and also make meaning and also learn more about the different listings of these insects. And therefore, while learning, sorting, classifying all these things, what do they do with all this information? After all of this, what now?
So yeah, I have one more example for me that I can,
Yes.
and then I will share what were my takes from those were. So the second one is, one morning, Gabby was sitting outside on the patio and writing on a clipboard with a magnifying glass. "It's hot on the paper," he said, after he put his finger on the paper where the magnifying glass had light shining through. "I have an idea. Let's get an ice cube and see if you can melt it. The light is hot." So then in the picture, you can see we did get an ice cube from the kitchen. We brought over, and I think we spent, 20-ish minutes just manipulating the magnifying glass and the light to see where the heat would go, just watch the ice cube melt. Again, it's also, sorry, I saw a comment. Yes, about learning that lives on the ground and classify what they see. They're touching different textures. Yes, those are all part of the experience. And in here, it's still science, right? It's still manipulating light and eyes, but it's a different kind of science than the first example. So Amanda, if you want to skip to the next one. So when I compare both situations, like the bug hotel and the melting ice, and say, yes, they are exploring science foundations, they're exploring, in both cases, they're exploring inquiry, like the ability to observe, investigate. And then in the one, the predict, and the first one, specifically the bug hotel, to research, find resources, materials where they can get more information. And also like the life science and understanding the properties and characteristics of living things, while with the ice, the understanding the non-living things, the properties of water, for example, how it changes. And also the use of technology. The magnifying glass that was used in both situations, they are a technological tool that children can use in the classroom. So when you think about technology, I know at least I used to think that would be only like use of screens or computers or things like that, until I learned that with Mina, that actually technology in STEM is just any tool that's handmade, that's used to facilitate or enhance one's experience. So when we offer children magnifying glasses, binoculars, rulers, microscopes, any man-made tool in that sense, we are exposing them to technology. And then that also can help them to create their own tools, right? They bringing the engineering part and creating their own technology to solve their own problems. So those are just some more hands-on activities that we saw happening in the classroom recently. And I think Amanda now is gonna talk a little bit more about how we can expand and deepen their interest and knowledge with projects. Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. I'm just looking at some questions. I see, yes, Thomas, exploring with their hypothesis and testing them, similar to the scientific method. You know, we observe what's happening. We have questions. Children raise questions, hypothesis, experiment, and come to a conclusion. And we repeat that cycle over and over again. And that allows the children to have a way of finding things and making meaning and understanding what's happening right in front of them. And Michelle, would books be considered technology as well? Since books are as a resource, I would say in this context, yes. Especially using something that is compiled like an encyclopedia to classify things, we can use that as well for technology. All right, I'll talk about more of the project-based approach. And so I will share briefly on what I have worked on in the fall in SF for my graduate program. So what is project-based approach? So project-based approach is basically a simple way, a hands-on way of learning where children explore real-world topics and thus further their interests through also long-term projects as well. So you can work on something and then eventually you elaborated, elevated as well into like a long culminating project. So why is this important? I decided to focus a lot on my teachings in my classroom with project-based approach to help foster children's inquiry through hands-on learning and to also promote more of nature exploration through gardening and bug discovery. If you know me from other classes, I know Louie was with me in Mina's class. We talked about math and science inquiry. I did not know much about gardening. I wasn't as comfortable with bug discovery, but I wanted to take that initiative to learn more about it because a lot of children were very interested in it. I know in the fall time, when it's rainy season, worms start coming from the dirt. And when children are very excited about something, I, as a teacher, want to learn with them. And so it's a lot on the teacher's part to be hands-on with them, even if my insight's like, oh, I don't want to touch them, but I wanted to do it for them. And also to empower ourselves as educators and use inquiry-based learning to connect science and math into daily life in the school and bring experiences that they learned there to home. So using a project-based approach, I really want to explore about nature. So here's some background on what I've done in the past. So what I've done was looking through the whole year, starting really in the spring. A lot of children are very interested in what's blooming, flowers, some of our vegetables in our garden. And I want to take the initiative, say, if we do gardening a lot in spring, what will sprout? And what can be continuous until the end of the year? And I know in the fall time, a lot of children, whether they celebrate Halloween or not, they will talk about pumpkins and harvesting time. So that, let me do some more research about pumpkins. So I looked into how long does it take to grow an orange regular jack-o'-lantern pumpkin or Cinderella pumpkins, sugar pie pumpkins. I looked at them, it takes 3 to 6 months. It's a long time. So I thought, start this in the spring, plant some seeds, see them sprout, and hopefully by the beginning of fall, by September, October time, we're going to see something. That was the hope. That was my hypothesis. And so looking at children's exploration in the gardening in the spring made me want to made me feel inclined to do this gardening with the children. And so integrating some of the scientific concepts with them about cycles. How do you grow from a seed to a sprout to a plant, and also transplanting them from a little pot into a big garden bed. So we had conversations about that with children. Here you see pictures. We have a picture here. We started growing little pumpkin seeds in a little tray, like the size of a baking sheet. And then we transplant them to a big garden bed. And eventually in the fall, after growing maybe 50 sprouts, we thought we'll have a bunch of pumpkins. We thought we'll have our own pumpkin patch. Unfortunately, in the summertime, it was too hot. And I should have been more responsible to come through the summer and water them frequently, but I missed a few days and basically our pumpkin crops died. So it's like, oh, what are we gonna do? My pumpkins are gone. We see one pumpkin we had successfully, the size of maybe a football, rotted. And we looked inside with the children. We came back from summer break. What happened about this pumpkin? Before I threw it away to the landfill, the children start to notice there's some bugs crawling into the pumpkin. What kind of bugs? And again, like Alice said, with how she got a book from our classroom library, we did so the same in my classroom, and we saw there were ants, beetles, all sorts of things going in and out of the pumpkin. So we shifted from pumpkin gardening, talking about planting, measuring, documenting the growth, to what's happening in the pumpkin. It's more interesting now. So we talked about decomposition, talking about the depth of this cycle, start over. Oh, we grow a plant, it dies. And now we have these decomposers, beetles, worms, slugs, even using it as a habitat, their home. And so children here, you see in the middle, we have two of my 4.5-year-olds at the time, collected a lot of the beetles and worms, and they put them in what we have, these shallow white trays for children to look at them in a more clear setting, what it is. They put in some barks there and leaves, and that's all they're doing. They said, we're gonna make a habitat for them. Before they use the habitat, they said, we're gonna make a home. Then one of the children in the green jacket said, another word for home is habitat. So we had discussions about what is a habitat for bugs. And also, while we're doing the bug exploration, there are still other children who still wanted the pumpkins to live. And you see on the right-hand side, we had children who say, you know what, even though the pumpkins died, we still want to talk about it because it's fall time. Children go to maybe the pumpkin patch, or children will talk about what their plans are, what they'll dress up as for Halloween. And here you see these two children have worked together collectively to make their own pumpkin costumes, and they themselves were becoming pumpkins themselves. So it was nice to see that even with the start of planting pumpkins, conversations about scientific concepts, even though the pumpkin didn't come out the way we wanted, it opened new doors to other things we talked about, like bugs. And so here I want to show you, here are some data resources that I have collected to see where would it take off. Planting pumpkins, it's a long time. What can children do? When you plant pumpkins, you have got to wait 3 to 6 months. During those 3 to 6 months, children were very fascinated. Oh, we're going to get pumpkins. We talked about time frames and length, how long it takes to grow a pumpkin, and what are your expectations to see the pumpkin grow. So a lot of children did drawings. Using clay, you see here in the bottom corner, a child, we brought in some store-bought pumpkins from Trader Joe's and see, what can we use to manipulate with clay? Make your own pumpkin sculpture, have conversations about it, even make stories about pumpkins. And a lot of these conversations that children have, stories about pumpkins, it all really stemmed from also sometimes teacher-led questions like, what do you think might happen with the pumpkins in the garden? And also, we're doing this project also allow children to gain a sense of responsibility. Here on the right-hand side, you'll see children here. I'll just read just one of them. The first one up top, it says, for your child, she says, the pumpkins are still small. I see little bumps on them. I think they will grow faster if we water them every day. And she was one of our children who was very good about watering the pumpkins. Even through the summer heat in Palo Alto, she first thing she did, run straight to our yard to get the water can and water our pumpkins. Now I should have been more diligent like her during the summer break, but that's where I learned myself, analyzing what happened. Why did the pumpkin out at the time? I said, why did it fail? But really, it became something else. It opened a new door about bug exploration. And so here is another picture. We call it the rotten pumpkin. We had talks about it for a whole week with the children about what happened. The children's reactions, they were disappointed at the loss of the pumpkins. They had more questions about it and became an opportunity about what is in the pumpkin. Where did the bugs come from? Why were they inside the pumpkin? And what were they doing there? And so this was a natural transition from pumpkin planting to bug exploration and discovery. And so even though you can see there's a little nutting here, so during the summer break when the pumpkin was still growing as a whole, I wanted to make sure that there are no squirrels or critters or raccoons will dig in our garden bed, but the netting was not strong enough. So that is what happened. And also, this is what I've done for myself. I'm not saying this I should recommend for everyone to do, but I made myself my own inquiry table to make more sense of what I have started with the children and how it really came to a culminating experience with the children. So we had phase 1, introducing what we're doing. And phase 2, investigate. Phase 3, representational things the children make sense with through art and literacy, making stories, telling stories through storytelling. And phase 4, culmination project. So after seeing what has happened throughout the year, a lot of children we have from the spring and summer and fall, those are repeating children. They've come to reflect from day one, from planting the garden to planting the pumpkin seeds to bug exploration. And so I'll just share a little bit snippet of what we did in the culminating part. A lot of the focus went into bugs. And so we had a bug museum, had children build little bug habitats for children, for bugs that we find in our yard, not just in the pumpkin garden bed, but everywhere in the yard where they can live in there. We got roly-polies, worms, slugs, and snails made with cardboard and tape. Very simple. And also some ivy leaves, so to have the slugs slide in smoothly into the cardboard homes. And so all of these things that I've done with the children has a lot of concept and skills developed. So on the right-hand side, you'll see skills developed. What did I notice? There was critical thinking, compare and contrast, classification, creativity, and all of this table that I've made didn't come from 1 or 2 months. It took me a long time to get all of these things and then put them in, categorize them in a way where I can understand it. And therefore, later times, if I want to repeat another process like this, I'll refer to my own inquiry table that I've made. And so I want to talk about learning through play and projects. Using the power of play-based learning does help nurture children's curiosity, creativity, and their social emotional growth. Play-based in a way where children can even participate in gardening like this, but still be able to use their own time and use their own choice of play to make sense. Like the children dressing up as pumpkins. That was their own prerogative. Project-based approach also helps elevate their learning by encouraging deep thinking, collaboration, and hands-on discovery. So combining play and projects, the goal was to create an engaging environment where children can also develop a love of learning that brings understanding and meaning of what has happened and make meaning to in the school life, and also the whole point was to make sense of the world around them in general. So that's one part of doing project-based approach, what I did in my graduate study. And I will leave it up to now Q&A for the last 5 minutes. Any questions that you have, feel free to ask here or on the chat, and Alice and I will do our best to answer them.
Sophia had asked, how could we facilitate with higher ratios? And I was thinking that, yes, we were very fortunate they were able to work with smaller groups. But one thing that came to my mind is just to really, if you were able to like take a step back and see what is your group talking about? What is something that the children keep bringing up over and over again to really sparkle that interest from the group, from the bigger group? That was because I think that sometimes we want to do something that everybody wants, we want to bring something to the table, but it's not meaningful to them. So take a step back, start to listen to their play, start listening to what they're talking about, and then from there you can bring something that will attract most of your group. That's one thing I thought.
I see Stella has the question, how do you include children with disabilities to the project? In terms of disability, like is it physical, mental, or what is something that we can
Maybe language delayed or autism?
Language delayed autism, yes.
I think, sorry, I don't know. One thing is just inviting them to observe, like noticing, pointing out things like, oh, let's look at the garden, let's touch the soil. If they're not nonverbal, like having those sensorial experiences or touching the pumpkin, and pointing out to them, it's like, oh, look at the pumpkin, look at what happened. Try to, even if they don't respond, see how they react to that. Try to bring them closer to that environment that the other children are. And like, I don't know if that makes a little sense. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to see like what you meant by that, but I can share just a very short snippet of yes, the children I had in my classroom who participated in the pumpkin planting and seeing the fallout of the rotten pumpkin. I had some children who actually didn't know English. They spoke a different home language, and I wasn't able to really what would say communicate with them in their home language since I didn't speak it. But having them be part of the bagging the rotten pumpkin in the bag, having them help with like fixing the little garden fence that we had, tried our best to guard our precious plants and have them be part of, giving them material that they want to use to make their bug museum at the end of the year. They were there to participate. Whether or not they weren't able to use the language, their actions had spoken a lot. And so it takes a lot on the teacher to model the language, saying, oh, I see you use some tape, cardboard, and you're putting it together. I wonder what's going to happen next. They may not answer it right away, but they show it when they do it. And we just take notice of what they're doing, step by step, simple words, but also to acknowledge that what they do has meaning to them. Because at the end of the day, we want to show children that they are competent individuals, whether or not they have disabilities. We want to make sure that everything their actions have is worthwhile and invaluable. And I see Thomas shared that you could bend activities and curriculum based on the children's needs and abilities to foster inclusivity and allow everyone to participate. Yes, and yes.
Yeah, and if you think about a lot of the materials that we just talked about during this presentation, they are all open-ended. So it doesn't require them to talk. It doesn't require them to know how to use it. It really depends on the person that's manipulating them. And I think that's what the magic of about open-ended materials, it doesn't require skills, right? Yes, there are skills that you're going to develop from it, but any child at any stage of development can interact with those materials.
And Sophia also shared that having visuals was also helpful. Just for this workshop, I didn't share all the slides that I've done for my final project, but yes, we shared. We laminated a lot of like basically pamphlets and guides. What is expected for a pumpkin to grow? What are the bugs that are seen in the decomposition stage in the rotten pumpkin? A lot of the visuals that we had offered in the classroom, the children will refer to them, look at them, and look at what was the product that we had in the garden and trying to make sense of what happened here. And a lot of children use their own imagination when we asked what really happened. They had the funniest stories about why the pumpkin got rotted. And most of the time, it wasn't even about me forgetting to water them during the summer heat. It was, oh, perhaps the raccoons got to it and left some for us to eat. That was their story. That was their take on it. And so, yes, we should say offer vocabulary in other languages, how to say pumpkin, bug, worm in Spanish or Chinese. A lot of the things to incorporate inclusivity relies on the teacher. So it will be a lot. I know can sound a lot of work, but for SPED students, we got to have to do learning on ourselves to help the children who may not have the language or even the English words to describe what's happening. But if we can meet them where they're at and then help them together, is the most helpful and beneficial way that I see it. All right. I know a little over 10:15, Mina. What are we doing on time?
No, you guys are great. I mean, I know we can go on another 10, 20, 30, whatever, 1 hour more, but I think I have to let everybody go so we can have a little break and then coming back for our keynote speaker. I think this conversation, what we just did with Amanda, Alice, probably continue with our keynote speaker and look forward to it. So possible to have a slice set. There's a questions. You guys would like to share this PowerPoint slides with this, attendance? So
we probably will have to see what happened with the slides. We're gonna fix that, and then we can.
Because of the photos.
There's some technical difficulties, and we'll probably have to blur out some of the children's photos just for confidentiality. But the words that we provided, yes, we couldn't do that.
Yep, but at the same time,
send it to you, Mina.
Yes, this session is already recorded, so you guys can actually assess, how our speakers and they kind of like pointed a PowerPoint slides. So hopefully that is good enough for. All right, I think we really need to close, so everybody can have at least a 22 minutes break before the session.
Thank you for everybody's participation.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Yes, amazing. We have a 22. So thank you so much, Amanda and Alice. Love you guys' projects. Appreciate it. Everybody, thank you. Look forward to seeing you in the main room for our keynote speaker. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. Oh, thank you so much for this collaborative partnership, presentation. I think you guys did amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mina.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. You guys are prepared. I know it takes time, but I will. I'm gonna let you guys have a little break also, so I can catching up. Make sure you guys apply. I mean, you get the compensation.
No worries.
Yes, and then including me. Oops.
We will. Don't worry.
Exactly. Something happened. Send it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mina.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.